Welcome to LEAPcast. I'm your host, Dr. George James. LEAP stands for Leaders, Entertainers, Athletes, and Performers. And I'm on a journey to connect with high achievers and highlight their unexamined human moments. Tune in to learn how these high-achieving LEAP individuals were able to reach their greatest potential, face their most difficult challenges, and embrace the human moments that helped them along the way. If you want to get the episode highlights directly in your email, then head to LEAPcast.com right now to subscribe. Today, I have the honor, the privilege to bring on a great guest today. He's a former Philadelphia Eagle, NFL Hall of Famer, and to add to all his credentials, he is now an author of Blessed by the Best, My Journey to Canton and Beyond. Mr. Brian Dawkins. Welcome, Brian. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Look, I just appreciate it. And, I had to show some respect. So I threw on some Eagles gear. I am not originally from the Philadelphia area, but I came about 20 plus years ago, and I've been converted to an Eagles fan ever since.
There you go.
And so it was one of those things to just be able to say, like, I appreciate not only what you've done as a player, but for me, what stands out is what you've done as a person, as a man, as a father, as a husband, just the way that you've just lived to this point. I really appreciate. So one of the things we like to start off with is something called Leap Story, which is really just helping people to understand a little bit more about you, maybe about your journey. So if you don't mind, share a little bit about your story as we get started.
Yeah. So my story is pretty, I think, well documented at this point, especially in the book. If you read the book, it's really a story of someone who grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and the way that my perception was is that not a lot was expected of me. It wasn't supposed to be me to have the success that I had. The level of success that I wasn't supposed to be me. I was too small, and not a lot was expected of me. And so I took some of that, a lot of that, to be honest with you. I bottled it up and I used it. So in my mind, I always had to outwork everybody around me. And so that was one of the things that has propelled me to have some of the success that I've had, is to have that. But I also was blessed to have my mom and dad in my life. And they taught me specific things to help me to also achieve great things. My dad taught me a couple of things. When you start something, you finish it. When you put your name beside something, that your word means a whole lot. So not only do you go out and give everything that you have, you give more than is expected of you. That's how I took it. He didn't say it that way, but that's how I took it. And so that is a formula that I use in my life going forward. My mom taught me about fighting, that you don't start a fight, you finish it. Right.
And that's interesting. Like we hear like that's something that we hear from dads, right? But
right.
That's your mom who said that to you.
That's my mom. My mom grew up. She had to grow up fast. Her mom and dad got divorced, so she was basically had to raise the little ones growing up in North Carolina, I think it was at the time. And they didn't have TV, and so it was basically on a farm. So she had to be the disciplinarian in the house. So like she carried that over into us. But that principle of fighting, and not just fighting, she also told me that not only do you fight, that you fight in such a way is that people have to pull you off the person. So you finish that doggone fight. Right. Again, so in my little mind, that's how I agree. Okay, boom. So I got to finish it, and I got to not only fight, but they have to pull me off. So I take that same approach to life. When I start something, I'm going to be I call it a pullback person now. You have to tell me to slow down, not speed up. Because I'm going to give you everything that I have, and I'm going to keep on fighting until you pull me up off that, whatever it is I'm doing, right? So those type of things, as I look back over my life, have shaped my life in so many ways. Now, obviously, my faith is up there, but I just wanted to give you those kind of two things, because in those two formulas, so to speak, a lot of the success that I've had has been grinded out by doing things that way.
No, I love that. And what I really appreciate about that is that sometimes we look at people and then we look at their success, and sometimes we forget those building blocks that really got them there. And like, as you said, like, I love it that now I'm not only going to fight, but I'm going to be so far in the fight, you're going to have to drag me off.
Oh, that's right. That's
And
right.
how you apply that to so many parts of life. And, I think that is an important thing for us to hold on to, the thought of like, to just give it your all and then push it even further. But, for a lot of people and just the people I work with, people struggle with just giving 100%, much less 150 to 200%. How have you been able to get to 100 and beyond so consistently? How can you dig deep like that all the time?
Man, when that was placed inside of me, I had success with it. So when I did it, and that's one of the things as far as self-confidence and self-esteem even is success, right? Is the progress of success. When you have that success, doing that thing, going all in and all out into it, and then you have success with it, you're like, oh wow, that worked. It wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
I actually hated doing the thing that I had to do in the interim
Mhm.
to have some of the success early on in playing the game of football. Real quick, I played center instead of running back quarterback. I started off playing running back quarterback. The next year I was moved to center. I hated it. And I wanted to quit. My dad told me what? When you start it, you finish it, right? You do not quit. And then you stay coachable the whole time. And so during that time is what I developed that I got to give more than is expected of me because I need to show them I'm supposed to be doing something else. So while we're running laps in the practice conditioning, I'm usually the first or second guy lapping people because I'm trying to show these coaches what I need to be doing something different. And I not only did that 1 year, I did it 2 years, right? So during that time, I developed that mindset that I'm going to outgrind everybody. Yeah. I'm going to outwork everybody. And then what happened from that is that my mentality shifted so much going into the next year when I finally got up out of center and went back to on the defensive side of the ball. That's one of the reasons I hate offense now, I think, to this day, because I had to play. Now, I respect my centers, and that's the other thing it gave me. It gave me an appreciation for my offensive linemen. I really understand the plight of offensive linemen, the grunts, as we call them sometimes. But when I moved back to defense, then my mentality had shifted so much as far as my work and what I'm willing to give. And that's that 110 doggone %, more than is expected of me, right? And so that's the thing that I would say. Put all of you into whatever it is you're doing and see what comes of that. If you don't give everything that you have into that endeavor, how do you know if it was the endeavor or if you come up short, was it the thing that was wrong, or you just didn't give all that you could? I remember hearing this story about miners. You probably have heard this story as well. There was people that went and bought some land out in Colorado, I think it was, right? So they were digging. They went and bought instruments and things to get to that goal, but they were frustrated. They didn't hit. And then so they sold it, right? They sold the land. The people that came in right behind them dug a couple of feet further and they struck riches, right? That's what it is. You never know what's that last dig, that last thing. Once you give everything, if you quit and you were think about it, if you were 1 foot away from success and you quit, how painful is that, right? And I never want to put myself in that position. Never want to put myself in that position.
No, I love it. I was just, recently my family and I were on a hike, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to be the one to say that we're going to stop. Like, I could be last, I could be whatever. I'm going to get to the end, right? And this thought of like pushing through, being able to get to the destination. But what I really liked about what you said is this thought of like, that people could see you as undersized, people could change your position, people could put you in a new job, put you in a new place that you might not like or might be uncomfortable, but you found a way to get those early wins in. And that is such a big boost for our mindset and our self-esteem to get that win in. But like, I think what you're also saying is that you don't get the early win if you don't put in all that extra work.
You don't. See, the things that come out of that hard work are usually things that we smile about, that we're excited about, we're pumped about. And even from a neurological standpoint, when you give all into something, your brain produces a lot of I call it feel-good chemicals into your system, even before you have the success, the ultimate success. as you're grinding and getting closer and trying to just get better and better and better. And it's in the incremental steps of getting better that we need to really fall in love with. Fall in love with the journey is what I'm saying, not the end result. So as you're falling in love with the journey and you're getting better and better, the dopamine is hitting, those feel-good chemicals are hitting your body, you want more of that. I want more of that. How can I go? Matter of fact, you begin to research, what can I do more of to get more of that feeling that I'm feeling on the way to this success that I'm looking for, right? So that's that determination. That's that drive. And that does not come if you do not give all into it. Pour yourself into it. Whatever it doggone takes. You hear that phrase a lot, whatever it takes. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Are you really? Are you really willing to grind to get to that thing, to push through some of the discomfort? And one of the things that I've come to recognize, and I'm not the only one, but this is my version of it, is that, and I said this in my Hall of Fame speech, that the majority of success that I've had in my life has come on the back end of pain, right? And so understanding that now, and being a man of faith, I understand that, those trials are not there to stop you. Those trials are there to build you up for the success or the level you're about to go into. So it strengthens you along the way. When, for instance, today I was working out and we were doing a lot of, lunges and stuff like that, right? So lunges and squats, they're painful. They're not always pleasant, right? But here's the thing. As you're grinding through that, you're building up strength, stability for those next steps. I'll be stronger because I've went through that thing that I went through, if this makes sense.
No, completely. And I appreciate like how you're also highlighting that sometimes our success comes with or after pain, after even suffering, after difficulties. I see so many people that they're dealing with all types of life challenges, right? They could be overwhelmed by anxiety or depression or life or a breakup or something in their life that is hard and difficult. And they're trying to find the strength to move through that. And you've had your fair share of ups and downs. You've had some difficulties. And even in your book and even publicly, you've talked about depression. You've talked about fear. You've talked about even unhealthy choices you made early on. Can you just share a little bit about a low time and how you navigated that?
Yeah. And so the lowest time that I can say that I went through was my rookie year, going at the end of my rookie year, mid to the end of my rookie year. And it was because of me. As I look back over it, it was literally because of me. I could not give that to anybody else. It was nobody else's fault. It was my own fault because I was not talking to anybody about anything that was going on inside of me. So there were things inside of me that I was trying to hold on to, that I was trying to push down and keep to myself. No. So I recognize now that the more you try to do that, and I always equate this to you living in a house, a beautiful house, but you don't clean up that one room. And in that room is a bunch of trash and old food. But at some point, the smell in that room is going to leak into every other area of the house, little by little. So that's what happens. And your attitude and the way that you react to situations, your circumstances that may come in your life. And so during that time, I had to go talk to somebody, but I wouldn't until I hit absolute rock bottom. And the way that I see this now is that I had to hit rock bottom before I can finally look back up and ask for help. Yeah. That's what happened to me. And when I look back up, I had two individuals, my beautiful wife, Connie, and my uncle, I call him Uncle E, who was my defensive coordinator, defensive back coach, Emmett Thomas at the time. They basically got me, pulled me into the office when I came to work. Connie drove to work and they sat down and said, no, you're going to see somebody. And that's what I did to get the help that I needed. And what that did for me is I went to talk to somebody that obviously I had never met before. It was extremely embarrassing to in those first couple of sessions. But I began to get things out of me that was literally toxic to me. Wow. That was literally being toxic, in my response to my wife, my reactions to my wife. Because I wasn't responding. I was literally reacting to every situation that came my way, right? And I was doing other things like trying to mask the pain with alcohol and things like that. And so those aren't productive in the long term. They may be seemingly a short-term answer, but the long-term ramifications of that is extremely painful, not just for you and your outward appearance, but in your inwardly. Like you're hurting yourself with your organs, even, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And then your relationships going down. So I had to get that help. And when I got the help, I took medicine for a little while. And what that did is it helped me come down off my emotions. And when my emotions quieted, I began to dive into the Word of God, read, journal more than that's the first time I really started journaling. I began to journal. And I began to hear what I needed to do differently and some of the things I needed to stop doing. Yeah. And I did. And when I did that, the peace, the direction, the clarity, the wow, so much began to happen because again, I was freed from a lot of the things that I had been trying to hold on all of my life, hold down for myself, do it all by myself. And when I freed that stuff up and I began to hear from a different level, my vertical relationship began to increase. That peace, man, the peace is really hard to describe. Yeah. You have to really walk it and understand where I'm coming from when I say there's a different peace that comes when you truly have that vertical relationship connected.
What you just shared is, I know you shared it with others and you shared it publicly, but what I really appreciate as I'm thinking about this is that this is at a time when let's put all the different things on the table, right? You're talking about you're a Black man, you're a football player at the highest level, right? You have gone through life at this point where you have to just fight and as you say, some of that has been good, right? Fight to the place where they got to pull you off, right? And we live in a culture where when we put all those things together, going to ask for help is the last thing that we do. It is the last thing because especially at that time, right? It's a little bit more cute right now, right? And I'm in the field and I appreciate that more people are saying we need to address mental health or challenges and go talk to someone. But you're talking about a time where it was not cool. It was not a buzzword.
No.
How did you allow yourself to do that?
Because I had to. I was it was two options for me. One of them was to go get help. And the other one was I wouldn't be here. Yeah. That's where I was. And because of that, for me, obviously, I knew I had to do differently. And I had known for probably a while that I needed to do something different because what I was doing was not working, not even a little bit. But it didn't. It took that last thing to happen before I said, you know what, yes, let's just do it. Let's try this because once again, what I'm doing is not working. And to be honest with you and frank with you, like I want to be here.
Yeah,
I want to be here and not just be here in a toxic way, not just be here in a numbing the pain way. I want to be all the way present where I am. And so again, when that emotions came down, I began to hear from a vertical relationship some of the things and some of the giftings that I have. So, but before then, I didn't understand my giftings. I didn't know what I was gifted at. I thought it was athletics. Yeah, that was part of it, but that was not the whole thing. The whole thing is what some of the things that I'm about to do now with my life and inspiring people and speaking to the lives of people. So had I not going through, and here's the other thing about what I went through. And when I go through something, I always say I grow through it. I don't just go through it. I grow through it. And when you grow through it, you recognize that now I have wisdom to be able to handle things differently where I am. So I stay winning. So I develop this thing that I do every morning to help me in my mental space and my vertical relationship space. I pray, I read, meditate, and journal every morning.
About how much time does that take you to do it?
Different times.
Right.
Different times. So I give myself at least an hour to be able to facilitate the things that I need to do. During COVID, sometimes I would be in there for 2 hours because I had nowhere to go, right? So I would be in there for 2 hours just meditating, just reading, just praying. And when I'm praying, I don't just talk the whole time. I listen. I sit and listen. Listen. and listen, and I'm doing different breathing, researching different breathing techniques. So I'm trying different breathing techniques. What fits me. There's a bunch of them. Now I have the ones that fit me, right? And so that's so even when I wake up in the morning, before I hit the floor, before my feet hit the floor, I've already given thanks.
Yeah.
I'm already thankful. I literally raise up and just thank you. Thank you
That's
for
so
this day.
that's so important, right? Like, one, to highlight that you had your wife and ET that was there for you. Like that's so important that we need people in our corner that's
Yeah.
gonna support us, especially at our low times. People like to show up when we're winning, right? But we need people there when we're in the low times. And I love also that you have a ritual, a practice of not only gratitude, not only thanks, but a meditation, a prayer that allows you to be in the best frame of mind to go at and fight the day, to attack the
Yes.
day the way that
Yes.
you want to and need to. And
Yes.
so that you've gone from having that low moment, the lowest moment, to the place where it seems like it's gonna take a lot to try and take you out. And even then it's not gonna take you out.
Yeah. And to your point, I know that I'm not supposed to do this by myself now, though. So when you try to take me out, for instance, probably about a month ago now, I was really up under some spiritual attacks, I'll call it. And like I was like it was a painful place.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I text my 4 brothers, and I have a sister, so 5 individuals, and I text each one of them, and all I said was this: pray for your boy.
Yeah.
I call these people my Blessed Pact.
Mm-hmm.
These are the blessed individuals that I have in my life that I know that we're going to pray together. They're not going to judge me. We're going to pray together. And then I can be real with them about the things that are going on in my life from a physical or from a spiritual standpoint. I can be 100% real what's going on with them. And then we will search, pray together. At some point, we'll talk if need be. And then they'll fast with me if I need them to. So like that's the power of that connection. That's a very empowering community, I'll say, small community for me to have in my life. So my thing is for everybody who's watching this, pray about that for yourself. Who are those individuals? Who are those individuals that you can call and talk real to? Real with some of the things that are going on in your life. They're not going to judge you. They're going to pray with you. And if you don't have that, if you really don't have that, especially the praying part, if that's not something that you have conversated with someone about yet, I would pray about it so you can do it, and that you can become the individual that starts that group up. So yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. What you just said, the Blessed Pact, one of the ways that I've shared that with people is that we have to create our own tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that tribe, I fully believe, right, there are those people that need to be in it, right? It might need be your spouse or the person you're in a relationship with. It might be, the boy who makes you laugh. It might be your spiritual advisor. These people that we have in a close kind of community that we can reveal when we're in need of support or need of, like, hey, I'm winning, but I need people who are going to celebrate my winning, because everybody can't celebrate when you're winning, right?
No.
And I appreciate that you know that, look, I can reach out to people, because that's one of the things that sometimes we forget, that people who have done great things like yourself, we all need people in our circle that are trusted, that have been proven, because not everybody can ride with you.
No, and that information, and to that point, I would offer this for whoever's watching this, that what you're going through is not for everybody. That's not for everybody. It's for those individuals that you've given permission to speak into your life. That's why I said you have to give these individuals permission and let them know that you are this in my life. If you're cool with that. And I would love for you to be this in my life, right? Now, the reason why I call it the Blessed Pact, I love Animal Planet. I love Animal Planet. So when you talk about like a wolf pack, right? The lengths that the wolf pack goes to take care of one another, right? And we're all hunting towards the same objective goal. And each one of us are hunting to be righteous. That's what it is. Our vertical relationship. Each one of us are hunting to be righteous, to stay in a righteous state of mind, to keep our hearts clean of any and all intoxicants, those things that are toxic to us. Since I messed that up so bad, those things that are toxic to us that would prevent us from being the best version of us today. So that's why I use Blessed Pact.
I like it. And, one of the things I've admired about you, and I also appreciate how you named it in terms of your gifting. I I've always felt your ability to motivate people, right? That whatever you did, whatever you were doing, you were somehow motivating people. And even in conversations I've had with people, people are like, "Oh man, I love him, man. He's my favorite Eagle." And then they're like, "No, no, he's my favorite athlete." Right? There's a way that people would feel so connected with you, genuine, that it was genuine,
Yeah.
and that you'd motivate them. And so two parts. One, what is that like to be able to motivate people in that way, no matter what you're doing, right? Sport or not sport. And then my other thing is, who motivates you?
Yeah. So great first question. And that's one of the things that I did not recognize up until that like rookie years. I'm trying to figure out who I am, right? But as I begin to have that vertical relationship, I recognize that that's one of my giftings,
Hmm.
be able to inspire.
Hmm.
And here recently, I've read that one of the root definitions of the word inspire, its original context, is really to really breathe life into. Is to breathe life literally into. So when you see a picture of me, it's not you particularly, but I've heard fans, when I see a picture of you, I have you in my office, and it makes me want to go further. It makes me want to, wow, that's humbling, first of all,
Hmm.
because that's not necessarily why I set out to do some of the things that I did. I set out to do what I did because um, because it wasn't supposed to, like some of that stuff was literally because it wasn't supposed to be me. Like I want this so doggone
I'm
bad.
gonna show
I'm
you,
gonna,
right?
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, right, to have this success. But as I begin to earn the respect, like my quote goes, and I didn't create it. I just heard it somewhere, and I said it myself. That respect is not given; it is earned. Like I had to earn the right to speak into the people's lives around me, and my teammates, the same thing. So when I use say earn, that means that I have continuously, and consistently done things a specific way as a person to have people look at me and say, "You inspire me, that you breathe life into me," right? And so that's a huge honor for me. So here's what I then take from that: do better.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing better. And then for me also, I need that same inspiration to be for my daggum kids, right? I want my kids to look at me that. I want my son to look at me that way. So one of the first individuals I wanted to make sure that I represented, so to speak, was my doggone family. That my wife and my kids, and this goes from my vertical relationship with the Bible tells us that as a man, that's what I'm supposed to be doing these things. I'm supposed to be washing my family with the word. So sometimes it's not just the word of the Bible be preaching to them. No, the greatest message that I ever preach is the life that I live and how I'm living that life, the vitality, the strength, the courage that it takes to persevere through some of the things that come our way. And then the reframing of the situation that's in front of me.
Yeah.
So my perception of the thing that's happening, that's what's empowering for me.
Yeah.
Because the thing actually was hurtful, but the way that I perceive it, that's powerful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the empowering thing.
Yeah. And who motivates you?
Wow. So who motivates me? I've been blessed to have people in my life that have modeled the way that I then carry myself. So this is my version of what I've seen in my life. Yeah. This is the way that I say it. Yeah. So my grandmom, I call her St. Dawkins. She's 104 now.
Oh,
right?
That's awesome.
And she modeled what a Christian was or is. She literally modeled that. And this is not just me saying this. I've talked to my uncles. I've talked to my father. Like, she has never lost herself in anger, and she doesn't curse. So I saw that it's possible. I saw what's possible. You can be stern. You don't have to curse with it, but you can be, you can tell somebody. And the peace that was in her house was unbelievable. So because that peace was in her house and her and my grandfather, out of that household came my father, there's 7 of them. Out of that household, which was one of the hardest and roughest parts of Jacksonville, out of that household came 4 doctors, a CPA, and 2 quality individuals into society. One of them being my father, who I learned so much from, right? That's what came out of that household in that environment. So you can't then tell me that the home that you exist in can't be the environment that helps your kids to see better, to know that there's better out there for them, even after they walk outside of the fence and step into some of the foolishness or see some of the foolishness going on in the neighborhood. It's when within your household, there's a way that you can carry yourself, conduct yourself, and pray over your family, that to have them reach those heights, right? So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like that. That just makes me think about my wife and I, and knowing that there are certain things we didn't see growing up. My parents tried their best, did what they could, but there's just some things they couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
In our life, our goal has been to try to provide opportunities, experiences, and memories for our children to let them know that anything is possible. And so when I hear you
Yes.
talk about St. Dawkins, right, is the thought of like, yeah, like look what can be produced out of this family. Look what can be produced even in some of the toughest, hardest, difficult environments and neighborhoods. This is what can come out of it. And if this can come out of it, anything can happen.
Absolutely. And then, so why should I limit me?
Yeah.
So then my thought is, and as I study and know more now, that the thing that was limiting me early on was my thoughts of me. That was limiting me. I had limiting beliefs in certain areas. And so it was hard for me to then go outside of the framework of what I thought of myself. So when I grabbed and when I began to develop a better image of who I not only just am, but who I could be,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
so much opened up. I'm serious. So much opened up.
Yeah.
And now some of the other things that was binding me down, some of the strongholds begin to just fall off,
Yeah.
because I saw something different. I saw what it was what was possible for me. Another one of these individuals that you talk about that motivates me. One of them, I'll come back to football, was Reggie White.
Yeah.
Was Reggie White. So early in my Christian walk, it's told to me as an athlete that you can't go out and be physical on the football field. You can't be physical in life. You have to be passive and all of these things. And so as I'm searching, I saw Reggie. And I saw Reggie absolutely beasting folk on the field, right? Oh my goodness. If Reggie didn't have a sack or two, a sack and a half, people were like, what's wrong with Reggie? Like, is something wrong with him, right? So, and then I saw him though. I saw him beast people on the field, but when they get hurt, he would be the first person they're praying over them. I was like, boom, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what's possible.
Yeah.
So now I created my version of it. And there's other individuals that have blessed me along the way, whether it be Bob Marley, Bruce Lee, who else? Wolverine, like comic books. Yeah. There's so many other things and people that have blessed me and have helped me create this individual, again, that sees beyond my sight. Yeah. That really sees beyond my sight.
I totally see it and love it. We're at 1:35. I do have more
Let's
questions.
Go. Let's go.
We're
good. We're good.
Thank you. One of the things that I just think about in just the work that I do, as you're talking about, is those limiting beliefs. And I've seen it in my own life, right? To push past those things, to believe that, yes, me too, that this can be mine and even more. But a lot of my clients, they struggle with that. They struggle with, because of their upbringing or because of the breakup or because of just life, because of COVID, whatever it might be, that it's hard for them to get out of their own head or the self-talk or the negativity. How have you pushed against those negative thoughts or you're undersized or you're from Jacksonville or anything that has come up, how have you pushed past that?
Man, it's been so many opportunities for me to stay down. Same thing with everybody else. To stay down. Like this is not for you. You're not supposed to be that person. Again, part of it in the beginning was, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So what I was doing though, what I was giving other people power over me.
Mhm.
So it was them that was helping me have success. So I was going to prove them wrong, right? Now, I've changed that as I got older because I understood that I can use fuel for my fire, period, and just let it be for my fire to have success, not necessarily to prove you wrong anymore. I'm not going to give you any more power. I'm going to let the words that you just told me fuel my doggone fire so that I can just have the success that I'm going to have and just leave it there. So I don't have any resentment and any hatred, any angst towards you. You just thank you for the word. Thank you for the logs. And I'm about to go have this success with this thing that you just told me I can't do. So thank you. So as I said in my Hall of Fame speech, my haters became my elevators, right? So they helped me in that way. Now, scripture, I call them fighting words.
Mhm.
So that was one of the first things that I had to do when I start coming out of the fear circle of allowing fear to be too prevalent in my life, to help hurt me on the football field, to be honest with you, because I wasn't being aggressive as I could be because I was fearful of making mistakes. So First Timothy 1:7, 2 Timothy 1:7 says this: "For the Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love, power, and of a sound mind." That's my favorite scripture.
Yeah.
And so I would quote things to myself, quote that verse to myself, and speak it out to me that I'm powerful. Why am I powerful? I'm not powerful because I say so. I'm powerful because His word has told me I am. But if I'm operating in fear, I'm operating outside of the gifting that God has given me. So no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to this. Ooh, wait a minute. Sound mind. That means that I'm self-disciplined. So that means I can do. So that's how I talk to myself, to read, to encourage myself. So in those limiting things in my life, the words I say to myself, and I say it like this now, my self-talk game is outstanding now. What I say about myself to myself is outstanding. Brian Tracy has something that he says that I utilize sometimes as well. I like myself. I like myself. You know what? I like myself. I matter of fact, and I'll change it. I love me. I love me. I love and I like me.
So many people should and need to do that, right? To just get in that practice. I like me. I love me, right? To have a self-talk game, because when we don't practice that, our negative self-talk game just goes crazy. And
Yes.
I really appreciate how you said that you use what people have said to add logs to the fire, because you've been somebody that seems like you just always got that fire burning. And now I can understand why, right? There's a way that you keep fueling that, right? To keep going and say, like, all right, I'm not gonna have an issue with you. I'll deal with you when I need to, but I'm gonna use this for me. And I think that is so awesome and amazing that you've been able to do that.
Yeah, and
Go
and
ahead.
and because also I never wanted to have someone um, be a puppet master over me. Right? You pull, like you've always heard, pull my strings or this person push my buttons. No, I never want to give anybody access to my buttons. I own these buttons. Matter of fact, they don't have access to my buttons. It's me that pushes the button,
Right.
period.
Right.
So I take ownership of all of that stuff. And so because of that, no, I'll just use what you said to help me and motivate me. But I'm not going to hate you for it.
Wow.
I'm not gonna dislike you for it. Now that took some time. Now I'm not gonna say that's been always. I can't say I've always been to this level when it comes to that, but I
It
can be
also
that
talks
now.
it also
I
talks
can be
about
that.
your evolution, which is really great, and how, like, even folks that we admire or look up to, that they are also evolving, that we are always evolving. So I know that you've been doing some really great things. I know that you got the book. I got it here with me. Like, excited about it. I see it in your background, and I know that you're also doing some other things. So I would love to hear. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now. What are you up
Yeah.
to now?
So one of the things that people didn't know that I was an executive for the Philadelphia Eagles. So the time we won the Super Bowl, those 2 years,
Oh,
I
really?
was there from the beginning of Doug's tenure, and I was blessed to be behind closed, behind the scene, kind of working and having conversations is basically what I did,
That's good.
to really help with the culture, help with as I call it, I love to talk about accountability. Without accountability, you have nothing. And then with my understanding of the word of God, that I understand that a house divided against itself will not stand, right? So me being able to walk in halls and just walk into offices and have conversations with players and coaches and really begin to help facilitate again a culture
Hmm.
of togetherness, a bonding, a way of seeing things differently, for leaders to go out and lead by example, not by words, right? Like
Yeah.
I can give you words, but my actions, and this is how I live my life. I wanted my actions to speak so loud you couldn't hear what I was saying, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of what I was blessed to do. But during that time, after we won the Super Bowl, my heart changed.
Mm.
And I no longer had the passion and drive to continue to do what I was doing in the building the way that I was doing it,
Okay.
because a voice was telling me, and it did throughout my life, right? And I've said it in the book.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be doing more.
Mm.
You're supposed to be doing more. So the more was to then get outside of the building to do what I had done in the building
Mhm.
outside in the world.
Wow.
And writing the book was the introduction into that, to help people from this way. I've been studying, being like a mindset coach, life coach, health coach. I've been taking courses on those things, and then coming out with something's called the Beast package. It's the Weapon X Academy. It was the first introduction into the kind of the coaching realm. Will be a Beast package, and the Beast is an acronym. It stands for Best Energy Attitude Self Today, and so it'll be in a 4 module um, set up, so you to understand what best was for me.
Yeah.
What, how energy, how did I maintain the energy that you spoke of to the level that I did for so doggone long, right?
Yeah.
So what are the things that I did? Like my attitude, which to me is the driving force. That's the A in the middle. The attitude is the driving force for everything, in my opinion, right? So what does that speak to? What are the things that I did from that perspective? And then self, one of the things that of understanding, we just talked about it, your self-talk,
Yeah.
of really understanding that it is not what people say about you that matter, it's what you say about you that matters,
That is so
right?
true.
And then today, I go through um, how really to reframe
Hmm.
your yesterday, frame your tomorrow right, so that you can absolutely enjoy killing today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the thing will work out.
No.
And so again, that's the beginning of it. That's the beginning of the process of me giving and inspiring, speaking, breathing into people on
Mhm.
another level. On
No,
another level.
that makes so much sense. And once again, right, I think like this is my belief and maybe yours, the thought of like we truly start to excel once we realize what we're gifted with, what we have inside of us, and to honor that, right? I got into doing therapy because I would be the person that would talk with folks. And also like being able to do things in a more public way, where TV and media interviews. And it was embracing that that was what was a part of me, right? To not only help
Amen.
people one on one, but to help people in a larger way. Even part of why I'm doing this podcast. And so to hear that makes so much sense, because what I heard what you did with the Eagles after you retired was that you were a culture changer. You were a, dynamic shifter, right? Like you would help create that St. Dawkins piece in an environment, right? And now you're like taking that and expanding that just beyond this organization that you are connected to just others and other places, and
Yeah.
that you have that ability to walk in because of who you've been and how you are, to walk into places, people give you the respect and they will listen to you, and that you're not going to just throw shade on people. Right?
Nope.
So like I could just see how that all really comes together, and it empowers and motivates people to just be excellent. So that's just
Yeah.
great.
And that's the thing about it. The things that I've grown through in my life, the wisdom that I've acquired, and I love the fact that you talked about forever growing, because yes, forever growing. We're supposed to forever be growing. There's never a point that we should get that I got it, that I know it, that I've arrived, right? I think it was Miles Monroe said something to the fact of point of the moment you stop living is the moment you begin to die, right? So I'm going to continue to grow, not live, but grow. The moment you stop growing, you begin to die. And no, I'm going to continue to search, continue to read, continue to listen, and continue to get better. And then the other thing is this: I believe that it is my responsibility. It's my responsibility to give of the wisdom, the things that I've learned. That was the other thing that I was trying to get to early on, but I got caught up in talking to about other stuff. But now it's come back around. That when we grow through something in our lives, and we're blessed to see something or gain a victory in an area, it's that victory is not just for us. We're supposed to share that with someone.
Yeah.
We're supposed to. I'm just so blessed to have had so many, I guess, successes in different, arenas or whatever, to earn that respect you're talking to have those conversations. And then again, for me, because I'm transparent with some of the things that I've gone through, I'm not just on a perch saying that, hey, if you do this different, if you do that different. No, I'm saying, no, I've been similar place. Right. Matter of fact, I might have been in the worst place. These are the things that I did. I'll offer these to you to see how, and then you digest them, and then you see how they come out of you. You create your own version of the thing that I just said.
Well, once again, it's just really great, what you're sharing. And I like to end with a few last questions. One is more of like, with all that you've done, all that you've accomplished, is there anyone that you would want to work with or collab with or develop something with? Like, you've met people from all different walks of life, and I wonder, who would you love to get in some type of working relationship with or get connected to?
Man, you talking about past or present or like?
Well, hey, like anybody at this point.
Man,
But yeah.
I would have loved to have sat down and just talk with Dr. King, like Dr. Martin Luther King. I would have loved to have broken bread with him to really get his, get some of his. I know he's preached a lot, he's gave a lot of sermons, but sometimes when you sit down in a quiet space with someone, they can go to a deeper level of their thoughts and some of the things that they're thinking. So I would have loved to have that conversation with him. I would have loved to have talked to Bob Marley at some point, right? I love
you talking all my family's Jamaican, so
Jamaican. There you go. Right, so right. I love his desire to continue to stretch to bless people, because he's one of those individuals, like I mentioned earlier, that I modeled a lot of my thoughts behind. I love to sing his music, and his music takes me to another place of peace. But it's not just the music, it's not just a peaceful place. It's really just stepping out and being active in someone's life, right? To really help them know that there's strength to be had, and you don't have to reach outwardly for strength. The strength that you really need to have the success you're going to have is already in here. You just don't know it yet. Right. It's already in here, right? And so those just a couple of individuals. There's others. I'll stop there, but those just off the top of my head that I would have loved to have sat down and chatted with.
Yeah, I could see that would be some really cool conversations. What would you say mental wellness means to you?
Wow. I have changed that to cerebral wellness.
Okay.
Now, again, this is me. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. When I hear mental wellness, the problem is where I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, the word mental is the issue.
Yeah.
Because where I grew up, mental means that you're in a straitjacket, that you're crazy, excuse the term, you're crazy, right? You need to shrink, right? So because that's been said so much and so often, and that's not just me, like others probably feel the same way, that when I say it, I know I'm saying mental wellness, but because mental is so much, for me, been so much, it's been attacked, that I don't want to continue to say negative things to myself.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
No,
So
completely.
if I'm saying mental wellness and I keep feeling or any negative towards mental, that's really hurting me, because the more I say that to myself, once again, what I say to myself is the thing that really goes in my life.
Yeah.
So I changed it cerebral to cerebral. Cerebral to me has more to do with gathering more information. It is not basing things off emotional decisions. That's how I grab cerebral. Wellness has to do with the things that I do on a daily basis, mentally, spiritually, and physically, in order for me to be well, to be healthy. So when you put them together, for me, once again, this is me, that's a positive thing. So
Yeah.
every time I say cerebral wellness, I'm smiling when I say cerebral wellness. Now, as far as outwardly, I would love for people to be able to separate the two. When you say mental health, even say mental health, once again, people think of the negative things.
Mhm.
They think of some of the struggles
Mhm.
that are in a mental space, right? So struggles are depression, anxiety, and if they prolong, they become illnesses, right? Right. But every breathing person has mental health. Not all of us have mental illnesses.
Yeah.
Now, we all will go through ups and downs,
Exactly.
but the problem is society has not separated those things.
Mhm.
They just lump them all in that negative space. And that negative space is what's really hurting people, because you feel embarrassed by that. You feel like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have this? I have an illness. No, you don't have an illness unless you've gone somewhere, you've been checked out, and they put you in a space, and they say over a prolonged time, this is what we say that is going on with you. But you're not the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You're not depression.
Yeah.
You may have some things going on with you with depression, but you are not depression. I think some people, we take ownership of the thing that people say about us. No. The way that I see it, the way that I saw it when they told me that, I said, so that's what I'm fighting.
Yeah.
That's how I took it.
Yeah.
Also, so now you've described the thing that I'm absolutely. Absolutely. I love sci-fi. And some of the sci-fi movies that I've seen that reminds me of this is when you have an invisible alien,
Mhm.
but they're only visible when they shoot.
Mhm.
So when they shoot, I see where they are.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Okay.
When they describe this is what's going on with you, I was like, boom, I know what I'm fighting now.
Yeah.
So I know how I'm finna go against this doggone thing. I know what I'm going to have to do. And that's where the journaling came in, because I researched. So what is it that I can help? That can help me? Boom. One of the things was journaling. Absolutely. Now I have different journals that I can go into: gratitude journaling, stress journal. Like, there's different ways that I can journal my thoughts. It's not just one way. Prayer journal. Yeah. So now I know how to attack these things.
I love it. What would you say, and I'm going to use your term, would be your cerebral wellness advice to your younger self? And that could be anywhere from yesterday or as far back as you want. What would you say to your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to speak to those two people in your life that you know that love the heck out of you more, and be more open with the things that you're holding captive, that's holding you captive in some areas. That's the thing that I would tell them. Just open up to those two, because there's two people that I can know from even way back then that I knew I could talk to, but I just didn't, because I was conditioned to not talk about my feelings as a young black male coming out of where I came from. You suck it up, you deal with it, you rub dirt on it. Don't let nobody see you sweat. This is what you got to do for your family, right? You got to be this way, got to be hard like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. There's some things you can handle that way, but when you have, I'll call them internal injuries, you need to have someone that loves you, that can help you. And if they can't then help you, that's when you step out and you get some help with those individuals, usually guiding the way, because they're usually older than you, and they can help you, direct you to those individuals that you can talk to. And then all of this is a comfortable space, because you can trust these individuals with the things that you're saying, right? So that is what I would tell the younger me.
No, and what I love about all of that is that there's always for most of us, there's always somebody there.
Yeah.
Right? We don't always see them or don't always want to try or push ourselves, but there's at least somebody there in your corner that if you just take the chance to share with them, they can help you out.
Yeah.
Right,
And
my very
and
last.
I would even add this to that. I'm sorry.
No.
Just pray and meditate on who that is.
Yeah.
Just get in a space, breathe, get in a space, a comfortable, calm space. Pray and meditate of who that person is. If I told this person this, how do I think that they would respond? Or who, if I told this that's going on in my life, would have probably the most powerful input back into my life? Pray about it like that. You feel me?
Yeah.
And so that way you're not sharing maybe something with someone that don't need to hear what you're about to tell them, and they might not take it the right way, right? And so you won't be also afraid to tell somebody. When you pray and you get in that space, I believe that you will receive that individual, and it may be just one person.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important advice because, like you said, we can't just give, as they say, our pearls to everybody. We can't just share anything and everything. And that's also part of why I got into the work that I do, is that there are people, whether it be a professional or a friend or a family member or a teammate or a coworker, that if you take the time to pray and meditate, might be the person that's revealed to you that you can go to.
Amen.
How would you say, what would you say the connection between, once again, your word, cerebral wellness and high performance? Like, you've been a high performer in your life, even when people counted you out. And you had, like you said, shared today, ways you overcame a lot of that. Do you see a connection between cerebral wellness and being a high performer?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because in that cerebral definition, I talked about you're going and you're gathering more information.
Yeah.
So you're not leaning on that one way that someone sees you as the thing that's going to hurt you. You're gathering more information. So when this person say, I can't do it, I also have this coach saying that, man, I see something in you.
Mm-hmm.
So now I get to choose who I'm going to listen to more of in that space of gathering, right? And so oftentimes in my life, I'll tell you that I had to believe in somebody else's vision of me until I can develop a vision for myself, right? And so that's that space. So being open to a lot of different things, not really grabbing hold to anything right away until you find out what's the best for me and what's going to help me to move forth, in a positive light for me to have the success that I then develop, like that vision, right? And ultimately for me, like, you have to have a vision, you have to have a goal. And as we get older, you understand how more and more how important that is to have that vision. But once again, younger, I didn't know what I could do. Someone saw it. They would speak it. I had to then take ownership of what they saw in me until I can own it for myself and develop my own visions.
Brian, this has been really amazing. I really appreciate you sharing and talking and just motivating all that you were able to release today. You know, the book is out, Brian Dawkins, Blessed by the Best, My Journey to Canton and Beyond. And I love also that what you're doing is that there's not just a book to just be out there, but that if people go to briandawkins.com, that the book, that 50%, I think, of the proceeds will go to your foundation, which will help kids in the Philadelphia area as well as in Jacksonville. And so once again, you're committed to helping people through the book, through your words, through your actions. I really appreciate you being a part of LEAPcast today and all that you shared.
No, and thank you. Thank you for answering the call, brother, to do what you're doing, to bless others the way that you're blessing them as well, brother. We're all in this thing together, right? I'm doing my part, you're doing yours. And the more we do it, our parts, our individual parts, the more we'll be able to reach.
Wow, what an incredible ride we just went on with another great member of the LEAPcast community. I appreciate you listening and hope you got some tangible value from the episode. Please let us know what you think by leaving a comment, rating, and review. As always, please don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. This is Dr. George James, and I'll see you next time.